motherfucking mask.
To understand, you want a person to be happy. You have an ex-girlfriend that you had, but you want her to. But I'm just like from when I grew up, my uncle used to take care of me. You know what I'm saying? My uncle.
Future is not just a rapper. He is a symbol of trap, a musical genius, a guardian angel of Atlanta. Someone whom the entire hip-hop world must deeply respect. But what few dare to say is Future is never the person the public thinks they've figured out. He always stood on the delicate line between genius and self-destruction, between brilliant glory and a bottomless abyss waiting to swallow him.
It ain't out with me.
He finally confirmed what we all suspected.
Though
What
he's facing
fans
some
feared,
legal issues,
what
he's not
haters
exactly
speculated,
smooth sailing
and what
right
Hollywood
now.
tried to bury.
It's still
Think
say
about
the
how many
truth, far
rappers
more
he's up
brutal
against
than
to
any
get that
rumor.
title.
This
Years
guy's
of
something
psychological
serious.
emptiness.
He has a very
Broken relationships leave behind scandals that haven't even been extinguished before another one erupts. And worst of all, the complaints came from his own blood. So in the end, what did you just admit? Why did Future choose this particular moment to unlock the secret? And is that confession the final cry for help from the Emperor's trap? Don't take your eyes off it, because what Future just confirmed is no longer a rumor. It's a crowd strong enough to bring down the empire he built with blood music and pain. 1. From uncontrollable child to East Coast icon, Future-born Navadius Damoon Wilburn on November 20th, 1983 in Kirkwood, Atlanta. They call that place Lil Mexico. It's not because of the food, but because of the level of violence poverty and the dark stories children have to hear every night before bed. Kirkwood is located in Zone 6, one of Atlanta's most notorious crime hotspots from the 1980s and 1990s. His mother works as a 911 dispatcher, a job that sounds stable, but is actually an endless cycle of night shifts. While other families were gathered together, Future's mother was on the other end of the line, listening to people cry, shout, and plead for help. And his father left when Future was only 10 years old, leaving a void that no one could fill. It became a dent in my character, in the way I trust people, and even in the way I love. Future once said he didn't remember the exact feeling of the day his father left, but he clearly remembered the feeling of being not important enough for someone to stay. When he was young, he often stayed at his older aunt's house and was surrounded by aunts and uncles involved in drug gangs. His mother is an upright person who works extremely hard to keep him on the right path. Grandmother played an important role in his childhood. She's the typical South American woman, tough and decisive. While his mother was working tirelessly, it was his grandmother who taught Future how to distinguish right from wrong, how to walk through the neighborhood without causing trouble, and how to look at someone and know immediately whether to avoid them or approach them. But no matter how hard she tried, the Kirkwood environment was still a slow-acting poison. Violence, drugs, guns, police. All part of the ecosystem that Future had to grow up in. He even changed his name to Cash to mislead the police. At the age of 16, a turning point in Future's life occurred when he was shot in the arm and robbed. It was the chilling feeling of gunfire, the shouts of people, the metallic smell of blood, and the moment he realized he could have died at the age of 16. That bullet wound is a harsh warning. It told Future that if he didn't change his course, he would either end up underground or behind bars. 2. A genius is born. From a young age, Future was heavily influenced by his cousin Rico Wade, a member of the legendary production group Organized Noise, whom Future calls the mastermind behind his sound. Rico Wade encouraged Future to hone his songwriting skills, provided musical guidance, and pushed him to pursue a hip-hop career. He took the stage name Meathead, a name inspired by his large head. However, when he joined Dungeon Family and started performing with them, the group members gave him the stage name Future, a name that means the future of music. The days following his cousin, he began writing hooks and verses for Atlanta rappers, including Ludacris. Then he collaborated with Rocco and signed a contract with A1 Recordings. In the next few years, Future released several major mixtapes, including 1000 Dirty Sprite and True Story. During this time, he also wrote the article Racks for YC and collaborated with Gucci Mane on Free Bricks. In 2011, he released Streets Calling in Astronaut Status, followed by his debut album Pluto in April 2012. This album spawned 5 singles, all of which reached the Billboard Hot 100. However, the 2015 mixtape era is considered the most important milestone in Future's career. During this period, fans and journalists praised Future's 2015 mixtape series, which included 56 Nights Beast Mode and Monster. These mixtapes contained his signature songs like March Madness and Commas. At the end of that year, he released DS2, one of his most successful albums. Then Future released a collaborative mixtape with Drake titled What a Time to Be Alive, solidifying his position as a leader in the trap music genre. Future also made an impact as a collaborative artist, having worked with Jay-Z, Rihanna, The Weeknd, and Lil Wayne, which helped solidify his position in the current rap scene. His estimated asset value is around $60 million by the year. Revenue from music sales, concerts, streaming, and advertising contracts made him wealthy. Future's music catalog generates enormous revenue with multiple platinum albums and successful songs. Your hip-hop streams are among the highest. Beside music, Future is also an ambassador for many major brands. He collaborates with fashion, beverage, and lifestyle brands, contributing to asset growth. These high-profile brand relationships bring him a significant additional income. But in that dark corner of the music, the audience saw a man who was not doing well at all. And then on social media, from Reddit to Twitter, people started talking. It's not about new hits, not about ticket hunting tours, but about how many of Future's songs sound more like cries for help than music. Comments kept popping up. Does anyone else feel like a lot of his music is a cry for help? He has substance abuse issues. He's very clearly suicidal, not actively, but he shows the signs. Nobody cares about a man's mental health. That's why he expresses himself through his music. This creates a major conflict and anxiety for fans. That anxiety exploded into genuine fear when Juice WRL'd, one of hip-hop's youngest and most sensitive talents, admitted that he tried lean from a young age because he listened to Future. For Future, that saying was like someone ripping away the curtain, revealing the truth he had been trying to avoid for so long. And when Juice died of an overdose in 2019, the news not only saddened the entire community, it also caused Future to pause for a long time to reflect on himself. And he knows he's not just an artist anymore. You are an influential person. You are someone whose rap lyrics can either lift someone out of suffering or push them deeper into it. In an interview, Future said something that surprised many people. I have to face my influence on culture. And of course, the press didn't let this go. They rushed in like sharks to blood in the water. This website blames Future for ruining Generation Z. Another paper ran a headline like, Future created lean culture, and now it's biting him back. Some columnists even said outright that he should be held responsible for Juice's death for the spread of the drug wave culture, and for the children who see lean as a lifestyle. They turned Future's personal torment into a public execution, and you who were already not doing well had to bear the additional weight of
I anticipated it, but I just want to speak on myself. I don't know them, they don't know me, they don't understand my life.
3. The incident, when life turns upside down. However, before the nightmare could subside, another storm recently struck his life. FBG Casino, his younger brother, who had long been behind the operation of part of free bands, and whom Future thought had at least left the dangerous path of years ago. According to eyewitness accounts, the federal agents stormed the rental house like something out of a movie, as if they had been watching for months and were just waiting for the right moment to cuff their prey. Casino saw the shadow of black armor outside the window and panicked, running out the side door. A 41-year-old man running like a 17-year-old who just learned about the law. But how could they escape when the FBI had surrounded the entire area? And when they subdued him, the cash in his pocket, nearly $4,000, was just walking money, as the agents put it. The real nightmare was inside the house. 21 kilos of fentanyl, 380 $1,000 in cash, a money counter, a vacuum sealer, weapons, all arranged as if it were a transshipment point. What sent shivers down the spines of the hip-hop community was everything in that house looked like a scene straight out of Future's own music video. Casino once appeared in the music video. Feds did a sweep, standing amidst money, amidst rows, amidst the lifestyle that hip-hop always teeters on the edge of how much is real, how much is performance. That day, this boundary disappeared. Life imitates art, or rather art has long foreshadowed life. When the news reached Future, people said he was unusually silent, close friends say Future wasn't shocked by Casino's arrest. He was
Same
shocked
damn time was
because
already on the radio.
everything looked
Magic
so
was going
familiar.
top 10.
The money bundles, the shopping bags, the money counter. Everything was exactly like the lyrics he had rapped over a decade ago. It feels like life is holding up a mirror to me and saying, this is what you've always stood by, whether you want to admit it or not. That's also when the questions Future had avoided for years came back to haunt him. Why does your family always get caught up in these kinds of cycles? Why, even though he tries to escape the streets, do the streets still follow him through every generation?
Go back to mixtape.
And why did the things he once called just music now become evidence in a federal case? Fans didn't just see the Casino case as a normal arrest. They immediately connected it to all the chaos surrounding Future baby mama drama child support. Lawsuits, the Ciara scandal, his 2019 arrest for drug possession, and even his son Jacoby's online criticism of his absence. A man who has everything but whose life is as tangled as burning electrical wires. And now his biological brother has been arrested with enough fentanyl to kill a small city. An image that makes people wonder, is the shadow Future has carried throughout his career really so large that he will never escape it? The Casino arrest also makes Future's story harder to distinguish between truth and fiction than ever before. For years, he talked about lean, about dope, about cash, about living fast and dying young. Some fans think it's just an artistic persona. Another part believes it's the truth wrapped in melody. But after the day Casino was arrested, many people said, it's not art anymore. This is real life. In that very moment, Future was forced to confront what he had always avoided. His life wasn't just chaotic, it also had a trajectory. A path that he had escaped when he joined Dungeon Family. But it turned out it was just waiting for him around another corner of life. This is a blow from life itself, reminding him that no matter how successful he becomes, old wounds, the people he loves, and the things he used to rap about will still return, just when he thought he had left everything behind. 4. Psychological, exhausted, and chaotic lives. And from that very spot, people looked back at Future's entire life and saw this is a man who never truly had a spiritual anchor. A person standing amidst fame, money mansions, luxury cars, but whose soul was like an uncleaned room, messy, dark, filled with old objects he didn't know how to get rid of. Baby mama drama was the biggest chaos in that room. No one knows exactly how many children Future has. The confirmation documents are at least 8, but the allegations out there say the number could be as high as 15. Many children with many different mothers, each relationship, leaving a part of the story unfinished. It's no wonder that Network became an emotional maze, where every turn led to the conflict, doubt, hurt, and responsibility that Future both wanted to avoid and couldn't escape. The most notable case was that of Eliza Seraphin. She sued Future after DNA tests confirmed he was the father of the child, demanding child support payments of up to $53,000 per month. The number is not only controversial, but also exposes an aspect Future has always wanted to keep secret. He is frequently late, evasive, or uncooperative in legal proceedings related to his children. A man can buy a $500,000 watch, but he struggles with the societal expectations of fatherhood. That image made people feel confused, sympathetic, and frustrated all at once. But if we're talking about the biggest, most influential, and most media-hyped scandal, it's definitely Ciara. That story was like a dark version of a Hollywood movie. They fell in love, like a dream got engaged, welcomed Future Jr., and then everything fell apart in just a few months. From a couple supported by the entire music industry, they transformed into a Cold War couple, where every statement was a bullet fired directly at the other. Future publicly called Ciara a bad mother, said she had control problems, and didn't forget to take a dig at Russell Wilson. To the point where Ciara, a gentle and polite celebrity, had to sue Future for $5 million for defamation. She said he caused her to lose contracts worth over $500,000, severely damaged her reputation, and even ruined charitable activities she was involved in, including programs she collaborated on with former First Lady Michelle Obama. It's not just a lawsuit. That's a statement that Future, no matter how talented he is part of the problem, not just a victim of his circumstances or childhood anymore. But scandals don't come alone. In 2019, Future was arrested in Georgia for drug possession and violating gun laws. Although the accusations aren't too serious, They are the perfect piece to add to the image of an artist who is both free and self-destructive. There's even an outstanding warrant related to failure to pay child support, further solidifying the impression that Future is unable to control his own life. But perhaps the most painful blow didn't come from the law or the media, and it came from someone within the family itself, Jacoby Future's eldest son. When a 21-year-old goes on Instagram and publicly criticizes their father, you know the story has gone too far. Jacoby didn't speak in a childish, sulky way. You speak like someone who is too tired of seeing their mother hurt, their siblings hurt, and even their father caught in an endless cycle of drama. What you said is what many people think, but no one dares to ask. Future appears frequently in songs, but disappears from the lives of their children. And all of this baby mama drama, the Kiara lawsuit, the 2019 Arrest the Sun Speaking Out, is just the tip of the iceberg of a recurring pattern that many fans call by its name, toxic behavior. Future constantly attacks, mocks, and snubs baby mamas on social media. In rap culture, talk your shit can be normal. But when you have nearly a dozen children and every statement brings pain to some family, that action becomes a toxic spiral. To the point where Kiara had to seek a permanent restraining order to prevent Future from saying anything negative about her again. You understand how serious the situation is when the court has to intervene to ensure a father doesn't harm the mother of his child any further. When you put all these pieces together, you start to see the complete picture. A man who ran too fast, loved too fast, became famous too fast, but healed too slowly. Future may stand on stage before tens of thousands of people, but beyond that spotlight, he grapples with broken relationships. Children, he's never had enough time to understand women who feel hurt by him, and impulsive decisions that send his life into a chaotic spiral. And in all of this, the confession, "I hid my lean addiction because I was afraid of disappointing my fans," stands out. It shows that Future always lives between two worlds, one where he is a trap legend, and the other, where he is just a man trying to survive each day, each hour, each wrong decision leading to a chain of consequences. 5. The Ryko Shadow. When the entire industry sees Future as a potential criminal, there was one thing Future never thought he'd have to face: the feeling that the whole world had suddenly turned to scrutinize every word he'd ever rapped, every movement in his career, as if his entire life up until now had been nothing but a prelude to a federal indictment. Ironically, the event that thrust Future into the eye of the storm wasn't due to his actions, but came from a family member. Yet this twist caused the media and legal system to decide to re-examine Future's entire career in a completely different light. It's as if someone just changed the projector lens. Things previously called art suddenly became evidence. And that's when the Ryko shadow began to fall over Future lightly, but with a chilling effect. Major newspapers that once praised Future as the defining figure of an entire generation of trap music have changed their tune. Music analysis articles become evidence analysis articles. They brought back every line from "Move That Dope," every bar from "Feds Did a Sweep," every reference to "Lean to the Nights" he said he was falling freely into purple in "Codeine Crazy." In the old days, that was storytelling. Now they call it confession. The legal experts on TV, who don't understand trap music at all, suddenly started talking about Future as if he were the second-generation BMF legend. They said, "Future said it all in his music. Just listen carefully, and you'll know he's describing a real-life network." It doesn't matter whether the artist is composing, imagining, or using metaphors. When the system wants to see you as a criminal, the story is no longer art, it's proof. What made the situation worse was how brands reacted. An artist can endure a lot, but when million-dollar contracts start to pause, it's a very clear sign. They don't want to get involved in trouble. And with Future, that feeling is like déjà vu. This is exactly what Kiara warned him about in the final days of their relationship. A federal scandal big enough to make everything in your career collapse. At that time, Future saw it as a reproach. Now it's become a prophecy. Advertising contracts frozen. A few shows started to be delayed due to technical reasons. Brands didn't dare to put their logos near the name Future until things became clear. They don't need you to be guilty. They just need to stay out of it. Reputation in Hollywood is always as thin as paper. Just one question, and it's blown away by the wind. Fans are clearly divided into two distinct camps, like two riverbanks that never meet. One side said, "Future has nothing to do with it. This is my brother's business, don't drag me into it." The other side said, "Bro, he said it all in the lyrics. Didn't you guys hear?" And in fact, from the outside, both sides have their points. Future is caught between two opposing opinions, like someone trapped at an intersection. Speaking up is wrong, and staying silent is also wrong. The situation is like when someone is being spotlighted by police lights. Every movement is considered suspicious. What's the biggest similarity between the two fan bases? Both of them couldn't deny one thing. Future had never looked so worried. But what really sent a chill down Future's spine wasn't Casino. People think the Casino case is the biggest threat, but with the law, the casino is just a milestone. The scariest thing is what's called a pattern, a behavioral model. Recently, RICO cases in hip-hop haven't stemmed from a single crime, but from many small pieces that come together to form a larger picture. Criminal lyrics, vague label, cash flow, criminal relatives' online lifestyle. Displays images of flaunting money and goods in videos and ambiguous social relationships.
Another street record.
And Future,
you know what I'm saying? So a
someone
lot of
who once
records that was
rapped about
commercial.
lean, boasted about stacks, and wrote lines that sounded like a criminal's diary, unintentionally had all the pieces of that pattern. The feds don't need a casino to expand their investigation into Future. They just need a reason. And the reasons are too numerous. This is what Future is starting to feel clearly, the moment the system no longer sees you as an artist, but as a suspect. Everything you've ever said, whether it's feelings, art, or metaphors, can be used against you. The songs that once helped him escape lonely nights have now become a trap, forcing him to explain. The scandals involving his children, the tweets about Ciara, the child support disputes the night he was arrested in Georgia for possession, everything he thought he had overcome, now returned like a phantom parade standing right in front of his door. And this is what he feared most, what fans suspected, but he never said out loud. It wasn't that Future was afraid of being involved in the casino case. What he fears is that his entire life, from his lean physique lyrics and romantic scandals to the children he didn't have time to care for, will be used as evidence to conclude that he is the kind of person he never wanted to become. He's afraid his story will be rewritten by others, afraid that everything he used to survive, music, pain, raw truth, would eventually come back to condemn him. And that was the moment Future was forced to finally confirm what many had long suspected: he was no longer in control of his own narrative. He stood in the middle of a system that could turn his every word into evidence, every trace of the past into a potential crime. 6. The price of trap light. If you hadn't gotten into rap, would your life be less chaotic? This question is not for outsiders. It's for you, a man who has lived nearly half his life in painful contradiction. The closer he gets to the light, the bigger the darkness within him becomes. Future is most successful when he's in the most pain. That's the paradox fans have been talking about for years, but looking back now, it's eerily accurate. Each of his peak albums was written during long sleepless nights, from the loneliness that alcohol and lean couldn't soothe, and from the times he tried to keep his heart from breaking. Every word, every melody sounds like the voice of a man trying to survive in his own life. He was seen standing before a sea of cheering people, but only he knew how cold it felt to be alone backstage. The greater the fame, the more scandals. It's as if there's a cruel law of karma specifically for him. One day he's on stage accepting an award, the next he's facing a lawsuit. A new child appears on the list of offspring, or a controversy explodes on social media. Success elevated him to a level that seemed untouchable, but the scandal pulled him down little by little, like a weight he couldn't escape no matter how fast he ran. Future became a classic Hollywood archetype, brilliant on the outside, broken on the inside. And then the arrest of his brother, FBG Casino, with fentanyl served as a brutal reminder. It was like a mirror placed in front of Future, reflecting back the past he thought he had left behind. He escaped the streets through music, but his family didn't, in the dazzling trap light that the whole world celebrates. Future had to face the painful truth no matter how fast he ran. No matter how great his talent, he couldn't pull everyone out of the darkness with him. That's the kind of pain
I was
that
like, man, I'm
fame
doing
can never
only the
heal.
Breakfast Club, man,
The
I'm doing
entire
one-
hip-hop industry once put Future on a pedestal as one of the defining figures of the trap century. But behind that expectation is a man who doesn't know how to keep his life intact. The world's expectations placed on his shoulders were like a coat that was too big beautiful, but not a good fit. Out there, everyone thinks Future is the toxic king of trap music. But deep down, perhaps he's just an Atlanta child who never healed. 7. Truth. Future admits, and that's the most painful thing. At the age of 42, when everything seemed settled, Future finally had to step out of the fog he had cast before himself for over 2 decades. The man who once stood center stage amidst the bass that shook the entire venue, and thousands of raised arms, now admits a truth so painful that even the most loyal fans are left speechless. He has never truly been in control of his life. He couldn't control his family. He couldn't control the lifestyle he had once branded, and he certainly couldn't control the wounds from the past that were haunting him like an inseparable shadow. That statement wasn't a confession, but more like a final exhale after years of holding back. Standing at this crossroads, protecting himself, accepting the truth, or facing the years that shaped him into the man he is today. Future was like a man emerging from the battlefield, his clothes still dusty, his heart still full of explosions. He understood that if he said too much, everything could backfire and tear him apart. But if he said nothing, that silence would turn into evidence against him. For years, fans have debated, speculated, and connected disparate pieces from lyrics, from the hazy nights he mentioned lean from the empty eyes backstage, from the times he disappeared without reason. And now it all comes together into a single picture. Future has lived in more chaos than he's ever admitted. That chaos didn't come from the music. It came from family, from children he wasn't present enough for, from broken relationships, from unanswered phone calls, from long nights. He tried to immerse himself in sound to avoid thinking. What chokes people the most is that darkness isn't something he didn't recognize. It's something you've always tried to avoid. Born through work through lean principles, through turning pain into melody, through endless autumn nights to avoid facing reality. But darkness has its own rules. The more you run, the closer it stays behind you. The casino incident was just the last straw, causing everything he had suppressed for 20 years to burst out like a can lid under too much pressure. And in that moment of forced confrontation, Future was no longer the toxic king or a trap symbol.
Great day. Future
He was simply a
it.
man who wanted to live peacefully, but didn't know where to begin. The final question isn't for Future, but for those who have followed his journey. Was the fleeting light of a trap legend worth trading for a life haunted by the past without a moment's peace? When you look at Future, you don't just see an artist. A quiet lesson was learned. Fame can take you to great heights, but it is the wounds that were never healed that determine how far you will fall. And sometimes the bitterest confession is the only one that can save a person from their own darkness.
All data, analysis, and commentary in this video are presented based on information available at the time of production. The content is subject to change over time and should not be considered a definitive forecast. There is still so much more to explore: stories of resilience, legacy, and truth. Feel free to dive into some of our top recommended videos now appearing on your screen.